Alrighty, and we are live, folks. Welcome back to DIY guitar making. I have been super busy here in the shop, mostly just getting parts and things ready for the guitar build workshops, which are starting in the spring. Some of you guys are in those workshops, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment. But the other things that I've been doing a lot lately is these bench streams. I call them bench streams. It's just me live streaming what I am doing directly at the bench. It's been a lot of fun. I really like being able to get really detail oriented with you guys, more so than I can do even in the long form videos that I create, because it's just all live. Like even the kind of slow parts where I'm sanding, you guys are asking questions and I'm just chatting about various things related to the guitar itself that I'm working on, or just related to Luthier in general. So I think we get to go. It affords us an opportunity to go really deep on things that we might otherwise not go deep on. There's definitely been some technical hiccups during these streams, but those will get better over time. I think I had one bench stream that was really great, but then afterwards I looked at the video and the resolution was just atrocious. I mean, it was just god awful. There were points of the stream where I'm pointing at something and you just can't even see it because it's all pixelated. But again, not all the streams were like that, just this one. And those will get better over time, especially since you guys are helping me out by calling me out in the chat when things like that happen. Excuse me. So, oh, look, we already got Sweet Croco in the chat here. Hey, Eric, nice to be part of the live again. All right, awesome, man. Welcome. And so we're going to answer a lot of questions today. I've got a lot of different things to talk about. Oh, and he also writes, really like your new shop. So cozy and rustic. Yeah, it is really nice. And this is just a small part of it. Downstairs is the machine shop. I can't wait to show you guys that. I've shown you it a little bit in certain videos, but I want to do like a big tour. I think I mention that every single live stream. I say, hey, the tour is coming, guys, but I just never get around to it. And honestly, I think the reason for that is I always feel like I'm not ready because I want the shop to look super badass and epic when I do that tour video. And I just have all these ideas in my head for things I want to add downstairs and even up here as well. But this is actually the main part, where this is where the teaching happens and where all of the actual guitar building and assembling of the guitars happens. So if you take a workshop with me, like the ones coming up in the spring, there's still 2 spots available, by the way. If you take a workshop, this is where we'll be hanging out for the duration of the 8 days, about 10 hours a day, because we really go long here and we do it right. You are building this is a real guitar build, not a simplified kit build or anything like that. So anyway, before we get started, if you like what I do and you get a little something out of the lessons that I teach, hold on, dramatic pause. Here we go. Okay. Then check out ericschaeferguitars.com. There you will find the schedule of dates for those courses I just mentioned. And you will also find a list of courses that I have, online courses for guitar building. So if you can't make it out here to the shop to take an intensive course, you can purchase, say, for example, this building an OM acoustic course right here, and it will walk you through every step. And lastly, we do have the Tonewood shop now. So I sell Tonewoods. I think based on one of the questions, I think we're actually going to talk a little bit about that today as well. Yeah, that's it for the housekeeping. Let's get right into the questions, guys. And as I'm going here, throw your questions in the chat and I'll take care of those as well. Okay, so let's pull up the Discord. So the Discord is a members only Discord for students of both my hands-on workshops and the online course. You get access to this Discord. And so there's over 500 guitar builders from all over the world in this Discord. You can ask questions. I'll either answer them on this live stream in front of everybody, or somebody else, one of the many, great guitar builders that are doing good work in that forum will step in and answer as well. So let's check that out. The first question we have here comes from Carl Mills. And this is about, I wanted to answer this one because, or I guess it's not so much a question. This is a comment. And it is addressing a problem that many people have, which is saving money when you're buying all these damn tools. You know, you're new to guitar building and you're trying to set up your shop. And there's a lot. There's a lot to buy. And it's nice when people present you with, you know, some workarounds or cheaper options for certain things. So Carl writes, I am getting set up with my Go Bar station and I have been looking for more economical Go Bars. I found some fiberglass rods and silicone ends at Harbor Freight for cheap. And as we all know, Harbor Freight is synonymous with cheap. And I don't mean that as a drag on Harbor Freight. I mean, sometimes I do, depending on what it is. But there's actually a lot of great things you can do by shopping at Harbor Freight. I'm actually a big fan. I think I used to rip on it. So, you know, you guys can call me out for being, you know, flip-flopping there on that one. But yeah, there was recently a Harbor Freight that opened up near me, and I hadn't been to one in a while, and I went there and just realized, man, there's a lot of cool stuff you can get here. Even just especially things where the quality of the material, like, you know, looking for brass brushes and things like that, I can get them super cheap rather than ordering them online or getting them from Woodcraft or something like that, where I would spend a lot, or Stu Mac. Okay, going on with this question here. So he's saying you can get these fiberglass rods, and he says, I cannot try them out yet, but we'll give them a try once I have my Go Bar station set up. I'm sure that these will work, by the way, because these actually, one, they're fiberglass rods. The material is correct for what you're trying to do. Fiberglass is, if you can access fiberglass in some form, it really is the best material for rods, because it has an elasticity, which means it's going to spring back to its original shape perfectly every time. It doesn't develop a memory like even wooden rods. Because back in the day, you know, at some point, that's what everybody was using. This is an ancient technique. And originally, people were just using sticks of wood as their Go Bars, which can work. But wood, as we all know, develops a memory, right? You stress it for long enough, it's going to hold in that shape. So I am not sure what other people are using, but the StewMac ones are crazy expensive. The Harbor Freight rods are intended for fishing wires through walls and screw to get. Okay. Oh, and they screw together. Okay. And they cost $10 for a set of 10. The silicone rubber end caps come in a set that costs about $14. So what he's talking about is you want to buy these little end caps. You can find, I've seen these end caps everywhere, you know, at Lowe's and different places like that. Any hardware store that has a pretty good nuts and bolts section will have these little end caps for certain like furniture projects and things like that. And that's just to take the edge off of the Go Bars so they don't damage your work. Okay, and you mentioned the StewMac ones there, which are actually what I use. They're these like square rods. They don't have end caps on them. You can put some sort of cap on them, so they actually dig into whatever you put under them. They do damage it. They leave a pretty deep mark, which actually, I actually like the StewMac ones because I don't mind that they damage the wood, because my building method is a method where I'm not pre-shaping the braces before I put them on the soundboard. I am just putting on big, thick, overbuilt brace blanks. And for a number of reasons, that is my preferred way to do it. I do all my carving after they get glued on there. So the fact that there's these marks from the Go Bars, it doesn't even matter, because it's all getting deeply carved anyway. So all that goes away. The reason I like the StewMac ones is just because they give a lot more pressure than anything else I've used. It might be unnecessary. I just have used other Go Bars. My old Go Bars are kite rod stock. if you have access to a kite store near you. I don't know, maybe you live by the beach. I think there's a lot of kite shops there. You can get the rods that they use on the kites. Those are also basically go bar rods. But again, I found that the clamping pressure is not exactly what I want for gluing, although I still use them for dry fitting things for certain, specific tasks. I actually keep the kite rods around because they're light duty. It's nice to just throw them together and be able to like set up a pattern before you glue it. And then I'll use the real, stout ones for the actual glue up. I will say though, people use stuff like what Carl has here and the kite rods for gluing all the time. I think the majority of people use something like that and they don't have any complaints, but I'm kind of, I obsess over tight fitting joints, and whether I'm correct or not in this, I just feel like I'm not getting as much of a seal from the other rods. So that's just my 2 cents on that, but they'll certainly work. Your braces are not going to, fall off. Okay, and then there was something, I'm scrolling through here a little bit because there were a bunch of other guys chimed in. Larry Kuhn says, I got these driveway markers on Amazon. So again, if you go to a hardware store like a Lowe's or Home Depot, they have these driveway markers, which are also fiberglass, and you can simply cut them down because they're going to be pretty long, cut them down to the desired shape that's going to fit in your go bar deck. And that works as well. And then what's great here too is he's got some links for the driveway markers and for the caps that you can put on them. Don't forget the caps, especially if you're gluing your braces pre-shaped, which a lot of people do. And then Tom Casti writes, I bought 100 one-piece driveway markers from Amazon and cut some down to brace gluing length and others to glue back/top to side lengths. I'm not sure what that last part means, but this is what I wanted to get from his. I also recently noticed the use of bamboo in the Gore Gillette books. So we've been talking in the Q&As here a lot about the Gore Gillette books. I'll just mention briefly what those are. So Trevor Gore and Gerard Gillette, a long time ago at this point, wrote what is probably, I would say, is definitively the most in-depth guitar building book that you will ever read. I mean, it reads like a calculus textbook. Personally, I'm not a big math guy, so I skim through all the proofs that they put in there, all the math problems, and I just read the important nuggets in the summaries. But fantastic books, and apparently they were using just bamboo sticks. Again, you can use wood for this and bamboo, which is a type of wood, I believe, and they will work probably good enough for most people. It's just, maybe after several years, you might have to replace them. Not a big deal. So that's that. And yes, I will totally agree, by the way, that the StewMac Go bars are way too expensive. StewMac sends me free tools, not always, but a lot of the time. So I'll get a lot of things from them that I might otherwise find like a workaround. And I will say a lot of it's great. Some of it's, not as good as it should be, honestly. But a lot of their stuff is great. Let's see. Let's go to the next question here. Jump back over to this, click on this, and we got, oh, yeah, this one. I knew this one was coming. So I get this question a lot, and it's an interesting one. I think I'm going to answer it 2 different ways. So here's the question. Patrick writes, recently someone said to me, oh, you're a luthier. I'm not sure that I am. When does someone get to call themselves a luthier? I've been playing the guitar for more than 55 years and fixing my own guitars since I was in high school out of necessity. I've only started building guitars for about 3 years. I've only made about a dozen guitars. I haven't sold any yet. I'm curious about your opinion. In general, when does someone get to say, I'm a luthier? So I'm going to answer this 2 ways. First of all, and this is probably not the way that Patrick's asking the question, but for anyone who maybe is very new to guitar making or is just thinking about getting started in guitar making, you might be wondering about this in sort of the more technical or even legal way, which is essentially, how do I get certified as a luthier? And here's the truth about that. In the United States and really every country except for Germany, we'll get to that, there is no regulating body of lutherie. And hey, guys, that's a great thing. I'll say that again. That is fantastic. That is good news for everyone, honestly, for me, for you, for hobbyists, anyone trying to do this, and whether you're super serious about it or you're just trying to impress your friends or make a couple bucks while you do it, maybe a little part-time thing. That's great. So anybody can get into this. And, even if you're worried about, I don't know, the consumers, and, someone could conceivably send their guitar for work to a total hack, and they would have a terrible experience. Their guitar would get, hacked up. That's still great news because, that business is then eventually, at least if you have the capacity to think long term, that is coming to you. So the market works it all out. So again, there's no regulating body of lutherie in America, in the United States, or in any other country except Germany. So interesting thing about Germany, because that was something that, like, I had heard that at one point in my head, but I never really looked it up. So I did look it up here. And hold on, let me pull up. I want to read something to you guys. Where did I put that? Oh, there you are. Okay. All right. I'm not going to put this on screens. You don't see it. I'm just going to read this to you. So I asked the AI, and the AI says, in Germany, there is no general government certification required to work as a luthier, but formal recognition is necessary for specific titles and professions. By the way, I'm going to translate that for you. That means, yes, there is a government certification required. I like how they even say there's no general government certificate. Yeah, if you need formal recognition to hold a specific title, otherwise your title isn't legitimate or legal, that's the same thing. But I just like how they word it that way. For acoustic guitar making, and the title of this one I'm going to butcher, Zupfinstrumentenbaumeister, which means master luthier. So for that title, this is a regulated profession. To legally call yourself a master luthier, you must complete a formal apprenticeship and pass a master's examination. This is especially important for building high-end acoustic guitars, as clients often seek instruments made by a certified master. So that's Germany. In case anybody's tuning in right now at this moment. Hold on, I'm gonna cough. I can feel the cough. Give me 1 second. Okay, went away. We're good, guys. So yeah, that's Germany. That's not the United States. Don't panic, because I know most of you guys are in the United States. But yeah, I believe you guys could check this for me, but I believe Germany is the only country where you need a certification to call yourself a certain thing. But again, what I want to point out, and I thought real hard about German luthiers that I know or know of, because I don't personally know any German luthiers. But Max Spawn, Spoon Spawn, I'm not sure how you say his last name. I think it's Max Spawn. Max Spawn is an incredible luthier from Germany, and he has undergone the process. And the thing I want to say about that is, if we pull up here, let me see if I can put this on the screen real quick. Remove that, add to, no, remove, stop screen. Sorry, they don't make this easy. Share screen. Here we go. All right, check this out, guys. So this right here is just an image search of Max Spawn guitars. So if you're worried about whether or not you are approaching a master luthier or not, do you want to see this government certification, or do you want to see what I have on the screen here? Is this enough? Look at this work. Look at that like turquoise backstripe there. That is gorgeous. This guy, I've been following him for quite a while, and his work is so tasteful, just like elegant and classy. Look at this rosette work. Look at these fine lines. So you can't fake that. I mean, I guess with AI now you can actually, to an extent online, but you can't fake that in person, of course. So anyway, I think every other country in the world has this right. And you're a luthier if you want to call yourself a luthier. Okay. And that's the second part of this that I'm going to get to right now. Hold on. Let me get that off the screen so it's not distracting. So Patrick, you're asking when you weren't asking legally. I know you weren't. I just wanted to clarify that for, other people, but you're asking just sort of in a, I guess, social sense when you can call yourself a luthier. And what I find funny is I have never struggled with this question, but I hear from a lot of other people who struggle with this question. And so I thought about this a little bit. And what it really comes down to is you are a luthier, or any activity or trade or hobby that you want to associate yourself with. You are that thing when you choose to be held accountable for your work. Okay. Now, rather than being held accountable and therefore being judged on the basis of your work, if you want some sort of shield of protection from other people's judgment, then don't call yourself a luthier. That's actually a great way of protecting your ego from harm when, say, for example, you're showing your work to someone and you just you don't quite feel adequate, or you want to go to a guitar show and actually exhibit and present your work. I see it all the time. I hear it all the time, and not just I hear it a lot with luthiers because I'm in that world, but I see it with all kinds of things, where people want to protect their fragile egos instead of taking on full accountability for the level of craftsmanship that they're generating. And it's a shame, because what you really lose in that, if you are taking the shield, you're losing all of the growth that simply comes from taking that accountability. Like, I get it. It's a little painful to feel inadequate, to present your work and hold it up against other people's work. And people are generally nice. So, even if they don't say it, you might feel like they're thinking like, oh man, I remember cutting my first miter. That's the fear, right? Is that they're going to think that you have some sort of hubris because you're calling yourself something and you're just not quite there, I guess. But I'll tell you guys, I started calling myself a luthier after I built my first guitar. And you can say whatever you want about that and think whatever you want about that. And my work was really bad at that point. I know it was. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure at the time I maybe thought it was kind of okay. But definitely looking back, I can be like, ugh, there were a lot of problems. But the truth is, again, there's no regulating. There's nobody hanging over you saying you are or you are not a luthier. And so the second you start calling yourself a luthier, you're going to start behaving like your work is under a spotlight. And that's a good thing. Okay. That's going to put you in a different mindset and make you do better work. And specifically for you, Patrick, I know that from watching the Discord, you are in the Discord all the time. As far as I can tell, you are working on guitars almost every day, if not every day. I don't know. You could tell me, because I see the pictures you post and the beautiful work you post in the Discord all the time. So if you're not calling yourself a luthier at this point, you really should be. You really should be. And so I'm saying that one is a compliment because I think you are doing good work. And then also just as a maybe a kick in the pants to get you to accept the accountability that comes with calling yourself the thing that you're doing. Okay. Become the thing that you're doing. I don't know. I was trying to make that into a motivational poster at the end there. All right. Tom Cassidy writes, "Hi, Eric. Great to catch the live stream. Everything in Germany is regulated and or legislated. It is a culture of rules." That is very, yeah, that is very true. I have noticed that as well. So, all right, let's jump to another question. There it is. And this one is from the Discord. This is also from Tom Cassidy. Let me put it on the screen. Okay. One second. All right. There we go. We are on the screen now. I'm going to make that half screen. There we go. So you can see my face. Okay. Tom Cassidy writes, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the Spessart oak you have for sale in the Tonewood shop. How does it compare to other materials like rosewood and wangi? Is it easier or harder to bend compared to wangi? Wangi's pretty hard to bend, as some of you guys know. But anything you get used to, I bend wangi all the time, and it's fine then. But there's always a learning curve with certain woods, and wangi is one of those. And then, well, he has a second question after that, which I'll address in a moment. All right, so he's asking about the Spessart oak. Let me, I should have pulled one over here, but actually it'll only take 10 seconds for me to run downstairs and grab one. Don't go anywhere. All right, I got a piece. All right. So this is Spessart oak. Now this is actually like an orphaned piece off the end billet that I was cutting up. So yeah, it's got a big knot right there. So that's the kind of thing you want to avoid that makes for a bad piece. But all the other pieces, the ones that are actually for sale, are super clear. So I want to show you guys the figure on this. This is not sanded. This is straight off the bandsaw. So as you know, the figure really comes out when you smooth sand it. And so this is just a unique oak that comes from, we were just talking about Germany. It comes from one specific place, a Spessart forest in Bavaria, Germany. And there's a guy near me that specializes in obtaining this material. And so I'll get the, some big 14-foot long billets from him and cut them down. And I have not, because he was asking how it, what was he asking? How does it compare? In what sense? I guess he means in all senses. But he did ask specifically about bending. So I haven't, this is very new to me and new to the shop. I have plans for building with this. I got this for the awesome look of it. It's hard to find light colored woods that are not maple that can give you this sort of, some sort of crazy figure. And so I got it just so I could build with something different that, most other people can't say they build with. And so I haven't actually built with it yet. The one thing I can say about oak in general, which is the reason why a lot of people don't build with oak. This is white oak, by the way. The one thing about white oak is that it's very heavy, literally heavy. So when you build a white oak guitar, you will actually feel it'll sit in your lap a little bit, tighter against your leg. It'll just feel a little bit heavier, which depending on what you're trying to do, that can be a bad thing. It's not going to, I don't expect, so I can only talk about my expectations. I don't expect this to sound anything like a rosewood back or a Wengi. Wengi is a fantastic tone wood. And guess what, guys? It's cheap. But I don't expect the Spessart oak to have the, craziest tonal qualities in the world. I got it for aesthetic reasons and for storytelling reasons, right? So it's something completely different. It's an oak, but an uncommon oak. And so that's basically why I got it. I expect it to, so there's a lot of information you can find on this stuff online. So I haven't bent them yet, but I expect it to actually bend fairly easily. An interesting thing is a lot of people assume that density relates negatively to the ability for a wood to bend. And I have found that if there's any correlation at all, and I don't know that there is, that it's actually the inverse of what you think. All of the very heavy, dense woods that I've bent all bend like a dream. Ebony bends like a dream. And it actually seems to be the lighter woods that you have more difficulty in bending, because it's not really, you would think with a really heavy dense wood, like it's hard to like push it into that shape. But the thing is, those woods, at least the ones that I've used, tend to be more pliable, and that's what it's really about. It's about the brittleness and how pliable the wood is once it's soaked and brought to temperature. We just talked about Wengi a second ago. The reason Wengi is so difficult is because it's brittle. Now, the reason Wengi sounds good and is a good tone wood is because it's brittle. So there's kind of a trade-off there. You are just going to struggle a little bit more with some of these hyper brittle, high Q tone woods. And it's unfortunate, but it's, what do they say? I can't think of it. There's some phrase that came to mind, but we'll just keep rolling. All right, so that's what, that, I hope that answers your question there. Tom writes, yeah, I want some of that Spessart oak. It's in the Tonewood shop, man. Get on there. There's actually a lot of it up right now. A lot of really stunning sets at ericschaeferguitars.com. Okay, so we are now going to jump over to YouTube. How about that, guys? Catch me outside. All right, let's remove that. And give me 1 second, stop the screen, share screen. So I use StreamYard to do this as my software. I like a lot of things about it, but I will say, I don't know why they don't make this a little quicker to navigate to different tabs. And honestly, you know what it is? They probably do. I'm just an idiot and I don't understand, modern computer software as well as I should. Okay, so here we are, guys. We are in the YouTube comments, and all right. So what's cool is like we've got a lot of comments because I have done this past week a lot of videos with this new bench stream format. It's real easy to put out a video when you live stream it, and so we get lots of good comments and questions going with that. JD54 writes, great advice for using narrower pieces of quality wood that you don't want to waste. I am right in guessing that all 3 glue joints will have cross grain reinforcement applied. So that's a great question. So the last bench stream that I did, was I had two sides which were trash sides. They weren't useful as a side to me because, you know, I was cutting them off the billet, and the last two that came off the billet had this crack running, not, it wasn't a split along the grain, it was actually running almost perpendicular to the grain. And so, you know, even if that was able to survive the bending, it's just not something that I would want either aesthetically or structurally on an existing guitar. So those are basically scrap wood at that point. But what I did was I cut the sides down and reassembled them as a 4-piece back for a parlor guitar. And I did it with, actually, I have it over here. I did it with no, this isn't sanded down yet, so of course you can see the joints. But once this gets planed down, there will be no visible joint on these two edges. So it will, for all practical purposes, to the person looking at this guitar, they are going to believe that this is a 2-piece back. They're not going to see this at all. And the way you're able to do that, by the way, especially with a wood like Wengi that's really homogeneous color tone wise, a piece of Wengi always looks like a piece of Wengi. There isn't a lot of sort of wild grain and variation in it. If you line up this seam perfectly in line, parallel with the grain lines, you can hide that 100% perfect, right? It's just the joint there is going to the viewer, is going to trick their mind into thinking that it is one of the many grain lines on that piece. If the grain was wandering and twisting all around, you wouldn't be able to do that. But again, certain woods like Wengi that have very straight grain, I'll throw mahogany into that too. Certain pieces of mahogany, you can get very straight grain, and you can very easily do this. So his question was, am I going to put a reinforcement strip here and here? No, I am not. I've talked in the past about reinforcement strips in general for the back and why sometimes I don't even do them for the center seam. I'm not going to get into that here. That's up to you. You can do it or not do it. I don't have a, you know, big dog in that fight. But here, you really don't have to. Now, if this joint was right here, further towards the center, then you might have a strong case for putting that in there. The closer it gets to the outside edge, let me grab a pencil real quick. So if you actually think about where everything's going to be when this guitar is constructed, the kerfing is going to go in almost a 1/2 inch, kind of like that. Okay. So now this seam is reinforced here and here. I got to raise that up so you guys can see it, I think. Right? So if you think about it, you have a really solid reinforcement, the sides themselves and the kerfing in these 2 points. And so now this seam, if you're worried about it at all, is only about 3.5, 4 inches long before it meets that point. I have full confidence that this is already stitched together. It wouldn't hurt to add like a little diamond cleat right in the middle right there. But my opinion of that, strong opinion, would be that it's just completely unnecessary. Okay? Again, doesn't hurt, just unnecessary. All right. Jerry Ramsey, I've watched hundreds of builders. You're the most simple, non-complex, well-versed, and don't cut corners on your presentation. All right, thanks, man. That was on oh, that's pretty old video. That was on my making mistakes as a guitar builder video. Yeah, so you heard it, guys, from Jerry. Don't watch those other people. Only me. Only me. All right. Nice looking Koa. Can you give us one squiggler? Okay. One squiggler writes, can you give us a link to the nut files? So this was on a video, yeah, that I did on, that was my nut slotting masterclass video. So one, I'm not going to give you a link, but I will tell you what the files are and you can find them yourself. So the thing is, first of all, nowadays, like if you got to do a little work yourself here, man. We've got enough search engine power and AI technology that if you can't find something, it's probably not available anymore. And that happens all the time. So no, I'm not going to check to see if it's available. By the way, that happens. I've noticed that happens a lot with lately with guitar making tools. I'm not sure if that's like just a broad thing that is affecting all tools, but specifically with these Luthier tools, they do seem to be getting harder to find sometimes. So the nut files that I use, hold on one second. Here we go. So I used to use the Stu Mac ones, and there's nothing wrong with the Stu Mac ones, but these are way cheaper. And I actually reach for these over the Stu Mac ones. I just like how they feel in my hand. I don't mind that they're cheaper. I've broken these because they're so thin. But like especially the high E string nut file, I've snapped that right in half because it's very thin. The StuMac ones are much more stout, but I don't like the way it feels. They have this taper to the cutting edge that I don't like the way that cuts or feels. So I actually prefer these very simple and cheap nut files. But yeah, they are built a little more cheaply. So like I said, they do break. That's okay because they're, cheap enough. You just get more of them. But I brought these out because I wanted to show you, and maybe this is why he's asking, because they're from a Japanese company called Uo Chikyu. And maybe I probably didn't show you the files on screen, and I just said that. And it's like, how the hell do you spell that? So I'm going to show you right there. Uochikyu. Uochikyu. Yeah. So if you just type that in the search bar, and honestly, if you can't find them, they used to be all over the place. I'd be surprised if you can't find them. But if you can't, then honestly, that means they're not there. So, which sucks. Okay. Uochikyu. Uochikyu. Okay. Tom Casty, can you give us an update once you've bent it yourself? Absolutely, guys. Yeah, I mean, once I start working with some of this Spessart oak, I will be doing a lot of videos on it and probably bench streams. And so we might bend the piece live, all of us together. That'd be fun. Okay. Can you give us a link? I already read that. Olivin writes, takes me back to 2007. So he is referencing the bench stream that I talked about where the resolution was so bad and I didn't even realize it. There were actually a couple people commenting in the comments as I was doing it that the resolution was unwatchable, and I ignored them, and I shouldn't have. But yeah, it takes me back to 2007, when I guess all videos were less than 720p. Okay, let's see. Okay, now we're back to old questions that I've addressed in previous Q&As. So I think that's it, guys. Let's see if you guys have any other questions in the chat. I'd love to go there. But if not, we will wrap it up. And tomorrow, I think I'll do another bench stream. So look out for that. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't quite know what my schedule is, but I know that I have so much material that I am sort of prefabricating to certain points at this point that there'll be something really interesting that we can put together. So maybe it will be side bending, not with the Spessart oak, because that's not what I'm preparing for the students right now. But maybe we will do one on side bending tomorrow. Can't promise it, but we'll do something either way. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Signing off. Bye for now.